Okay. Hello, hello. It is April 21st, 2020, and it is 2:40. I'm taking a deep breath because technical difficulties with Facebook. Oh, it's a joy. But I'm so glad to be here today with you to talk about emotional eating. So if you are someone who is struggling, who is having issues with emotional eating, coping mechanisms, overeating, undereating in this time, this is for you. So right now you'll see I'm a little distracted because I am going to share this make sure this is in my group, which is Peace with Food While Social Distancing. So if you are someone who is struggling and need more support during this time of social distancing, then I invite you to come over and join us in this group. But for right now, this is for all of us, and this is for us to find ways to be more compassionate towards ourselves. So let's talk about emotional eating, and let's talk about ways that we can find more compassion for ourselves around emotional eating. So emotional eating really gets a bad rap. It is not a crime to emotionally eat. You're not wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. You are a human being in a body, and you have emotions. And food is a way to cope. It works. Food works. Food tastes good. Food is nourishing, right? It grounds us. It literally, when we're in an emotional state, it literally will ground us and bring us back into our center. So there's a reason that you are wanting food, because it works. It's pleasurable. When you're having a hard day, it's like a reward. The issue is when, hello Elsie, the issue is when food is now not just the reward and working with us, partnering with us. It is actually disconnecting us from ourselves and creating more ways to beat ourselves up. So I understand that in my experience, emotional eating can work for people great until they gain weight. And then all of a sudden, it's a big issue. And all of a sudden, it's not working. And all of a sudden, there's shame and there's the beating up of self. And so it's like, how much can we emotionally eat before we can get away with it, so to speak? And that comes in from diet culture. That comes in from what we are inundated with, which is around this idea that our weight is supposed to be less than what it is, that we're always supposed to be controlling our weight. And the diet industry is like a $6 billion industry. And the reason that is because we're buying into the idea of our weight needing to be not where it is right now. So when our weight does a little bit of a fluctuation, all of a sudden there can be shame around that. So let's, excuse me, let's even talk about emotionally eating with family, right? Like the good emotional eating. We go out, we have fun with our family, we celebrate Christmas and holidays, and we celebrate birthdays with yummy food and cake and all of that. That is also emotionally eating. So it's not just about the negative aspects, the sadness, the pain. All of it is emotionally eating. There's no way that we don't sit down with our food and have an emotion. So we want to kind of pull this apart, this idea of emotional eating, and really look at it and see what it is and get very clear on the fact that you are not wrong. Okay, so it's not about eating or not eating. It is about connecting to whatever your body really wants. Okay, so it's about connecting to what your body really wants. Sometimes it does really want food. Sometimes it's aching for something deeper. And that may be why you are here, because you know that there's something deeper inside of you that food will never be able to reach. No matter how much you eat, no matter how much you restrict, that food is never going to go in and heal and love you and fully nourish you. And I've heard many people talk about this, that there's like this hole inside, and we're just putting more and more food, hoping to either squash that down or somehow use something external to heal something internal. So we want to look at the deeper aspects. So if that is you, give me a yes, give me a like, a love if you're understanding that, or if you have any feeling around that, go ahead and let me know. So let's talk about this idea of emotionally dieting. So just like we can emotionally overeat or eat, we can emotionally diet. And we can take everything that, all of our attention, and we can put it on dieting. We can put it on restricting. We can put it on the shame around our bodies and around our food. We can take the angst that we may have about life, and we can put it all onto, oh my gosh, my food wasn't good enough. Oh, I overate that. Oh, I mean, that's what I did. I mean, and it became such a pattern that was just the way that I dealt with my emotions. An emotion would come up and my body would reflect it to me. It would reflect it like there's something, ooh, I feel so uncomfortable, or, oh, my food was so wrong today. It was so bad. I can't believe I ate that. So that the angst that I may have around something going on emotionally in my life, I would just move it over into the category of food as a way to distract, as a way to not be truly present. So when we're looking at this, I want you to see, so you may not even be watching this video because it's not, I said emotionally eating, right? But emotionally dieting is the same thing. It's just the flip side of it. Anything that we're doing around food that distracts us from going deeper in, that is what we can put under this idea of emotionally eating. I feel like I'm doing a dance here. I'm like, okay, so I wrote down some notes because I want to make sure that that I give you everything that I've been thinking about and really get clear on supporting you around this. So we have 5 steps, and some of these steps I'm just reiterating and saying it in a different way so you can hear it and hopefully it can land in you deeper. But the step before the step, and if you've been watching these videos and you've been watching, I've been doing a lot of these videos recently because of all of the pain that people are feeling around their bodies and food these days, is that the step before the step is compassion. Compassion is the key. It is the lubrication. It's what makes it work, right? It's the lubrication around before we put in these steps, because we need to partner with ourselves. We need to not fight ourselves around this. If we're fighting ourselves, we're not working with ourselves. We're not friending ourselves. We're not being with ourselves in a loving way. So I know that when you emotionally eat, it can be like, why did I do that? Why do I keep doing that? And there's a shame, and then there's a beating up, and then you get disgusted, at yourself. And I get that. I truly 100% feel that in my bones. I get that. But there is a place you need to get to with yourself that is around compassion. Wow, I am still emotionally eating. Wow, I'm still restricting and dieting and obsessing about my body and my food. Wow, there must be something going on here, and how can I find compassion for myself? It is key. Compassion is key. So that is the step before we start into the steps, okay? So slowing down with that, my friends, and just knowing that that is so important. And I hold that for you. I hold that for you deep in my heart, that you find this compassion for yourself and not make yourself wrong and not make yourself bad and not beat yourself up over this. Okay. So that actually is number one. There's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You are a human being. You're having a human experience, and we have coping mechanisms. And when we're feeling vulnerable and when we're feeling uncomfortable, we reach for something usually. Sometimes we reach for someone. Sometimes we reach for alcohol or a drug or a behavior that doesn't work with us, right? It doesn't really serve us. We will do that. We will reach for these coping mechanisms. And it is to know that you are human. And also to know that you are human having this experience right now. And maybe in 2 months from now, all of it will go away. And this coping mechanism may not go away. And that may be the issue. But it may completely go away. Okay? So it is to know that, number one, there's nothing wrong with you. Okay? I want you to get that and feel that in your bones. There's nothing wrong with you. Elsie says, oh, I look like my mom. Thanks, Elsie. I'll take that as a compliment. I love my mom. Okay, number two, and this is what we're going to chunk into a little bit more. And that is, number two is emotionally eating or emotionally dieting is a trigger. It is a sign for you to go deeper. It is a sign for you to go deeper into what is actually going on. So you can use these behaviors and these coping mechanisms around your food and around your body as a way to be like, oh my gosh, I'm emotionally eating again. That must mean that something is going on with me. Oh my gosh, I keep looking in the mirror and telling myself that I look ugly. Okay. Wow, something is going on. Wow, I'm restricting. I'm obsessing a little bit more than I usually do. Ding, 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 ding. What is happening? What is present? If it is overboard, there's something in there that wants to come out, that is begging you to look. It's saying, please, I'm here. Find me, love me, give me support. That is what I want you to realize not more than everything, because compassion is so important, but this is about compassion. It is about you going deeper. Don't try to just fix your food. It doesn't get you anywhere. Fixing your food or moving the food out and outside or not having it around, sure, that may be supportive, but it is actually going even deeper and finding the real issue. Because when you find that real issue and you can be present, you can be loving with yourself, that's when things are going to shift and that's when things are going to change. And sometimes it's just like, oh, you just got to take a breath. So if you're with me and I see that there's some people watching, go ahead and give me some likes and loves. Please let me know you're here and you're understanding what I'm saying. Go ahead and give me, oh, did I lose myself? Okay, there we go. Oh God, I hope I don't lose this again. All right, great. Let me know if you understand and how this is feeling for you. And if you have any questions specifically about what is present with you, I want to know. That's why I'm here. I can take this to another level with you if you let me know what is going on with you. Okay, so we're going deeper. So let's look at that a little bit more. So how can we just go deeper? Well, I think it's important for us to be proactive. And we need to look a little bit at, okay, when do I get triggered? What happens to me? It's like if you go home to visit your family for vacation or over a holiday, there are usually specific triggers. It is important for you to be proactive around that. I know that when my family says these things to me, it triggers me and usually creates me to overeat or emotionally eat or use this thing. So being proactive and looking at, okay, I know when I come home and I have had a challenging day and I haven't eaten all day and I just want to like shove food down my throat because I feel lonely. Be proactive. I want you to not when the food is present, but I want you to take it aside and be with yourself and think to yourself, maybe do some journaling. What is it that triggers this? When does emotionally eating come up for me? And when is it present? That will help you to get a handle around it and even begin to implement other things. Or it's like, okay, wow, that happens when I'm in this situation with my spouse. I find, when she says this or he says this, okay, so let me think about that now. Let me be with that now. And let's see how I can be with myself right now. So when I'm in that situation, it doesn't trigger me as much. See, that is going deeper. It's not about fixing the food. It's about it's about being with yourself and finding a way to heal that place in you. Maybe it's being proactive. Maybe it's sharing what's present for you. Maybe it's, who knows, right? There's so many different things that you can do to support yourself with the emotions that are coming up that are making you emotionally diet or emotionally eat. Okay, so another thing is to make a plan around this. So when I was talking about it being like this thing inside of you, this is when we need to get support. When emotionally eating or overeating, undereating, binging, purging, all of that is happening at such an escalation where it's no amount of compassion and slowing down is going to support you, then you need someone to help you go deeper. So go ahead, do some journaling. Find yourself a therapist. Reach out to me. Schedule a session with me. Join my group. Do something that is going to address these deeper places that you may not be able to access on your own. Remember, emotionally eating is about it triggering and giving you a sign that there's something deeper going on here. Okay? The emotionally eating, emotionally dieting is triggering that. So it is important for you, if you're struggling deeply, to find someone to support you and help you to love yourself more. Okay? Okay, number 3 is self-care. So I know people throw that around a lot in that term, self-care, but it is utterly important for you to begin to replace the behaviors, the negative behaviors, I'll call them, right, if it's overboard, the negative behaviors with your food with self-care. Now, I'm not talking about exactly in the moment. If you're like fully in it, it's not easy to stop and like, oh, well, I'm going to go journal right now. I'm going to do some nice yoga while I want to like put my head in a gallon of ice cream, right? That is not the moment. If you can, God bless you. But I've never been able to do that completely. It is the self-care in other moments. It is the soothing of the nervous system. It is creating some sort of spiritual practice. It is getting down on your hands and knees and praying. It is doing yoga at another time or going for a walk. Whatever you can do to calm your nervous system down, whatever you can do to release that anxiety and create a practice that you're doing day in and day out. And when you find that you're emotionally eating more, these are the moments for you to pick a bigger discipline or a bigger practice or something to do, okay? That is key. That's going to ground you. It's going to connect you. It's going to, maybe it's moving your body. It's going to shift your attention from the food, that external, to the internal. Okay? So number 1 was nothing's wrong with you. Number 2 is I want you to know that emotionally eating, emotionally dieting is a trigger or a sign that something deeper is going on. And then number 3 is self-care. Now number 4 is I want you to begin to celebrate when you are aware. So this is what I mean. The times that I have been reaching for the chocolate and putting the chocolate in my mouth. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like completely emotionally eating right now. I'm completely distracting myself from food. I mean, from the anxiety that is present. That is a moment in time where you can either go, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is disgusting. I can't even believe I would be doing this. I know I'm doing it. I'm still doing it. Or it's like, wow, I'm aware. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so I need to celebrate my awareness. So I had a client I was working with, and she was telling me, and she was so upset at herself. She was so upset at herself that she did a lot of binge eating. And she said, I was totally aware that I had no desire to binge eat. I knew what my emotions were, what was happening. I dealt with them, but I continued to still binge eat. And I'm like, okay, we got to slow this down here. It's not about one more thing that I was saying this before. It's not about eating or not eating. It's about deeply connecting to yourself, right? It's the deeply connecting to yourself. So I was telling her, I'm like, it's okay. There's going to be a time where you may just be aware of it, and you may not jump from emotionally eating to never emotionally eating again. There is that those times of stretching, like, wow, I know I'm doing it right now, but I still need it. I still need that food. Okay, well, I'm going to celebrate that a little bit, my awareness. And then slowly over time, like my client who completely stopped binge eating, and she began to just not go back into the shame that, wow, I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. I'm emotionally eating again. No, I'm aware that I'm emotionally eating. I'm aware of it, and it's okay in this moment. Maybe next time it'll be better. Maybe next time I'll take a breath. Maybe I won't even eat that much. Maybe I don't even need to soothe that much with food. And maybe you eat it, and then you go find the soothing, right? Maybe you eat the food, and then you go to your journal, or you go to prayer, or you go for a walk. It's not either or. Okay, so number 5 is, and we've already said this in many different ways, but it is so important. I'm just checking here. Yeah, it is the difficult part. You're right, Judy. It is very difficult to not make yourself wrong and to celebrate the small wins, because awareness is huge. Being aware is huge. It is such a big piece of the puzzle, because we do things that are, that we're just continuing to do out of habit, and we have no awareness. So having awareness is going to be supportive. Okay, and then number 5 is, I'm going to say it again, is not having any shame. I don't want you to go back into the shame cycle. When we go into shame, we go back and we catapult ourselves back into the same behaviors that get us back into the behavior that we just were in. So let me break that down. When we have the shame, it usually catapults us into restricting, dieting, doing some sort of diet-related, making ourselves wrong, trying to fix the food, making it about the food, doing whatever we can to fix the food, which is usually using willpower, and it does not work long term. It just doesn't. And I'm not saying that like it's true. It just doesn't work. So when we go into this diet and we go into this restriction, we may have a moment of reprieve for a little while, but then what happens is our body takes over. We may have a coping mechanism, then we have the emotionally eating again, or the binging, or the purging, or the emotionally dieting. And then what happens? We have this moment where it's like, okay, I can shame myself, but if I shame myself, I'm going to go back into it again. And I'm going to end up doing the same thing all over again. So when we stop the shame cycle, we nip it in the butt, when we stop the shame cycle, we can stop it all. So we're trying to stop it over here. We're trying to stop it by fixing the food, but we need to stop it. We need to stop it when we're feeling the shame. That's when the compassion comes in, and that's when everything can change. That's when it changes. I have been here so many times where I'm like, wow, I feel so uncomfortable and I feel so much shame in this moment. What am I going to choose? Am I going to choose to stay in the shame because I know it's just going to like go through my body, and then the next day I'm going to feel even more uncomfortable, and then I'm going to think about dieting and try to figure out how I can restrict and try to control myself, which gives me this false hope that everything's going to be better this time. But it isn't going to be better if we're using the same tactics. We have to stop and end with compassion. So that is key, my friends. That is so important for you to go back, and when you're in that shame, gonna reach for shame to make you feel like you're gonna get some control. I want you to lean into compassion. If you do not know how to do that, please reach out to me. Please reach out to me. I can help you. I can support you. This is not a journey that you have to do on your own. I would never be sitting in this chair talking to you about this if I did not have other people supporting me and helping me. Sometimes we need that person to hold us up and bring us into the light. So let's just recap. Number 1, nothing's wrong with you. Number 2, emotionally eating is a sign to go deeper and to be proactive and to find someone to support you and help you if you need it. Number 3 is self-care. Number 4, I want you to start celebrating when you are aware. When you're celebrating, you're aware, you're building your confidence, right? You're building that confidence. That's what we need to do. And then if you go into these places, do not let yourself stay in the shame. Find compassion some way. Find a way to bring it back around and maybe change things through compassion, not through shame. Okay? Okay, I hope this was helpful for you. Please do me a favor and share this. There are so many people who are struggling and so many people who are very much challenged with their bodies and with their food right now. It is everyone's home. They're talking about the COVID-19. Please share this so people get this information. And if you are also someone who wants to dive in even more, I am starting a Peace with Food while social distancing mastermind. I'm going to pick there's probably going to be less than 10 women in this. It's going to be a small group, and we're going to dive deep in where I'm going to support each of the women in this group, and it's going to be a sisterhood. This is going to be sisterhood where we can come together and support each other, because that's what we need right now, right? We need to come together and support each other. Reach out to me if you want to learn more. I'll talk about it in the links, and you can comment and we'll start a conversation. Okay, I love you all. Mwah! Have a wonderful, wonderful day.